What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bench Sheet Podcast. I'm George Niang. This is my co-host, Kevin Spees. We're back again this week. A lot of cool topics. There we go. Don't ever forget about that.
We don't plan our outfits.
Give me some daps and a hug, man. No, but a lot of crazy things have gone on. The Boston Celtics swept the Indiana Pacers in a series, which we'll dive into in a little bit, that the Indiana Pacers realistically should be up.
Crazy.
Yeah, 2 or 3 games to 1.
We'll dive into that.
With that being said, the Minnesota Timberwolves were down 3-0 and have clawed back to fight and make it somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts. Number one, I wonder if this past Celtics and Indiana series is the most competitive sweep we've ever had. Because in the 3 of the losses, Indiana was up and up big in the third quarter.
Game 1,
Game 3, and Game 4, they were up big. Yeah. Game 4, they weren't up big in the third quarter, but Game 3, they were up big in the third quarter. I'm like, what is going on here?
And the crazy part is because everyone before that series was talking about, Boston hasn't really had to play, a tight game at the end of a game, so they really don't know, what it's like, and what they do. They just showed you that they can compete at a high level and know how to make winning plays. And shout out Drew Holiday, because without him, the Celtics would have been in trouble. Obviously, they were missing Porzingis, and other guys had to step up, but timely, huge plays by a guy that's been to the mountaintop. Yeah, so that was impressive.
I love.
He's a what?
He's a dog. I love Drew Holiday also because I was in Philly in 2009 when he got drafted, and he was I think number 7th pick overall. He was on that team with Evan Turner, Andre Iguodala. They were
Elton Brand, probably. EB, you my guy. Shout out to EB.
So it was cool to see a guy who I feel like probably for a little bit of time in his career, people wrote him off. I think he went to New Orleans for a while.
Yeah, he had a lot of injuries
and stuff,
but they weren't really competitive either.
No, and he is a guy that is like a little bit older, maybe the best on the ball defender in the NBA. Making big buckets, and there was a play in Game 4 where they were kind of on like a slump. I couldn't tell you what the numbers were, but they weren't scoring.
Yeah, what was going on?
I don't know.
Tell us.
But he got the ball.
Yeah,
and he got the ball at the top of the key. I'm not allowed to ever talk about basketball with this guy because he thinks I coached varsity basketball. Don't you understand that?
Anyway, finish your take.
And Division 3, I was an assistant. Okay, so he gets the ball at the top of the key, jab steps, gets down to the block, boom, fake spin, goes up, puts the ball in the post, and kind of looks at everybody and is just like, just give me the fucking ball. Like, it was just a big dick move, kind of. Not saying I'm saying it was a big dick move. And it just kind of showed like that guy he's got nerves of steel. It's like when things aren't going well, just let him handle it. He's going to fucking lead the troops. Even though he's not their best player or their best scorer, he's their best
probably
defender.
One of the most valuable ones.
He's one of the most valuable ones for sure. And it just, aside from that, as a fan, it does kind of seem like Boston is like the least inspired championship team I've ever seen, because while they have won all these games where they were down, it's like you motherfuckers should have never been down. Just fucking come out.
This is where this is great, because you're just a typical fan, and you see it from your perspective.
Correct.
I'm looking at it as on paper it looks like they should just blow everybody the fuck out, but when you're being hunted every single night, and teams know that you're the best and you're getting everybody's best shot. Now in the playoffs, where teams can literally scheme for you and everything that you run, there's going to be off nights. And yes, they had a great season, but the hardest thing in the NBA is to fight complacency, to fight that, we're going to take care of this one. We're nice. We got this. Because every single time you get out on the court, teams know that you're the best team and that they can leave their legacy if they beat you. But you're over here these games shouldn't even be close. Everyone is a professional fucking athlete. They're not playing fucking kindergartners.
I'm not saying
they just swept a team. They swept a team and in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you are like any other typical fan or Twitter GM warrior. Yes, I said it. All you guys want to trade people and cut people and do this and do that. But at the same time, the guys that they're going up against are professionals. And newsflash, they've won in 5 games, in 5 games, in 4 games. So
I get it.
we want them to sweep every single one?
No.
Then take back your fucking
I'm not taking it back, because part of what you're missing, first off, there's 2 things. Number one, you're missing something which I'm talking about, which is called the eye test. Okay.
What's that?
And number 2, I'll get to it. And number 2, you're not.
I've never passed the eye
you're
test.
You're not. Neither have
Never.
Even with my wife.
Show us your new haircut now.
You like it? I do it myself. Pop.
Bick me.
You know me? I got one that's like curved, and it makes it a lot easier.
Okay, go. I'll cut you off.
But I shaved my balls with something else. Actually, because I had testicular cancer. Okay, back to what I was saying. Here's the other thing that you're number one is the eye test. You're discounting that. Number 2, you're never going to say anything bad about NBA players because you're going to take the stance of an NBA player and respect.
Because I've been there.
You are respect, and I've never been there, and you are a loyal compadre for that. But also you have to give a little bit to. There are teams you watch, win or lose, and you're like, that is an inspired basketball team. That team is going hard. And it's not about talent. It's just that team's going hard. Boston doesn't give you.
So if Boston wins a championship, you are going to say this is the most uninspired championship team.
Part of the reason why I find them uninspired at this point, and maybe because my judgment's clouded, is because they have been here before where they've been one of the better teams in the NBA, certainly in the Eastern Conference, and either one, haven't made it out of the Eastern Conference, i.e. last year against an inferior Miami team,
or 2, you can't say an inferior Miami team because they didn't have as good of a regular season as them.
No, they were an 8th seed. Miami was very good, and I will give it to you that I think they
Miami was in the finals the year before.
Yes, and
so how are they inferior?
Miami fully
they were in the finals the year before.
Miami fully underperformed, and I have text to back that up. That I thought they were underperforming that whole regular season. The point is, they have been there and have not gotten over the hump. And part of it is because from a fan's perspective, not an NBA player's perspective, not an expert's perspective, from a fan's perspective, it seems as though they don't really go as hard as they should. And Drew Holiday is someone that's going to help them get there.
But at the same time, you're telling me that they seem like the most uninspired. Yes, he said uninspired team. And I know a lot of people feel this way.
Aside from Sam Hauser, who's very inspired and I love very much.
Yeah, Sam, we love you. We're a fan of you on the podcast. Yeah. Shooters stick together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the same breath, you're saying this, which I'm sure is said on Twitter, and you've heard from your friends. They won the Heat series in 5 games. They won the Cavs series in 5 games. They just swept the Indiana Pacers, which
who were good.
have beat them multiple times during the year and should have been up a certain. And then they should be favorites against either team in the Western Conference. And at the same time, if they win a championship, it's going to be looked at as this is uninspired. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to win basketball games. Yes. Playoff games are even harder to win.
The physicality is harder.
Yeah, the calls, the magnitude of it. Like, the only way I feel like you don't really like psych yourself out is like if you just turn off the TV or watch the TV on silent or don't go on social media, because everything is just all basketball eyes are watching this. And what they've done this year is impressive. You win 60 plus games and half of them they were up by more than 20. And then you win a series in 5, you win a series in 5, and then you sweep. Golden State, when they swept through the Western Conference, people weren't saying that was uninspired. What more do you want from these guys? What do you want to see? Do you not want to see them drop a game here? Yes, it's the playoffs. They dropped a game. But they also come out, and when it's time to answer the bell, what have they done? Kevin,
the bell.
What have they done?
I understand your point that I can't have it both ways.
So don't get fucking greedy.
I get it. And also, I'm not I'm not like a guy in Boston. If I was a guy in Boston who grew up a Boston fan, I'm sure I wouldn't be saying the same thing. But
no, I don't care. I'm not being
you're just saying
about
from a basketball.
Celtics.
You're saying from a basketball perspective, and I get it. You're right. At the end of the day, I said that I thought this series with Indiana was going to go 6 games, and it didn't. And you could say it was competitive all you want. At the end of the day, they swept them, and so it wasn't competitive, right? At the end of the day. So
I mean, it was competitive. You can't take away it was competitive. It just ended. They were up literally 2 of the 3 games, or 2 of the 4 games, maybe even 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah.
They were up for literally
a lot of it. Yeah.
How many minutes is 46 and a half in 3 games? Do that math.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I think
also
you can contribute a little bit of that to the youth and the so far inexperience of Indiana, who now has that experience and is going to go into next year having that experience of winning 2 very tough playoff series in Milwaukee and in New York, and then kind of losing a tough series, but putting up a good fight in Boston. And now they're going to have all that more expertise going into next year. They're going to be a dangerous team, especially if they can add a piece. I don't know if they will, if they need to.
What piece are you thinking?
I don't know, because it's like Nembhard is almost like way more than I thought he would be at this point. And so it's like, do you really need... Siakam was perfect.
People don't understand. Benedict Mathurin has been out for...
Who is a killer off the bench for them.
He's been good for them.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what Indiana does next year with an All-NBA guy.
But moving on, I am sick of the Rudy Gobert slander.
Oh, really? You are?
I am sick of the Rudy Gobert slander.
Speak to me more about this.
Well, all I'm saying is people are, coming at his physicality, his scoring, his ability to do this.
Can we pause for 1 second, or I'm going to agree with you, then I'll disagree with everything else just for the sake of the show. That in game 3, or game 2 or game 3, when Luka was ISO'd on him, the last shot they were down. Mavs were down 2, and Rudy was on him 1-on-1. Mm-hmm. How the fuck do you not double there?
That was game 2.
Game 2. How do you not double there? Everyone's giving Rudy Gobert all this shit like, oh, get up on him. The 3 people were right next to him. Just fucking double Luka with the ball and make somebody else.
No, 100%. I get what you are saying. But Luka was also, I think, like 11 for 26 or something.
It's still Luka.
That game. Okay, Luka is one of the best passers in the. So do you want to put 2 on the ball and have your shot blocker way out on the floor? There's a lot of things that go into this. I understand that,
Yeah,
it looks so easy. Yes, it looks. Let's go double Luka. At the end of the day, they were up 3, or they were up 2, and a 3 is the only thing that beats them. I know people have said what they said about Rudy, but if you I'm like, I'll stand behind you and make you shoot a 2. We'll go to overtime and figure it out from there, rather than let a 3 beat them. I think that was your best bet. But with that being said, back to my point, Rudy Gobert came out in game 4. He was physical, chugging people in the lane. And what I mean by chug is like hitting people, tossing people around, setting a tone that allowed Minnesota to be up early and made Dallas play catch up. And then towards the end of the game, I got to give a lot of credit to Cat, which, his 1,500 shots that he says that he takes a day. I don't know about that. But they paid. Hey, bro.
That sounds like tendinitis.
So fucking keep doing what you're doing. He made some timely threes, some huge threes. Fouled out, but if Jaden McDaniels keeps making shots like that, and Anthony Edwards, when the time comes for him to just take over and he continues to do that, this series isn't over. But then again, they have to go down to Dallas, so it is what it is.
I think, game 5 is going to be in Minnesota, right? So they got one at home first, so it's like we'll see what happens there. I agree. It seems like Ant and kind of Cat, to an extent, both got aggressive. They combined, I think, for 4 points.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. And you hadn't seen that up until now. You hadn't seen Anthony Edwards with a big game yet. I think he was very efficient, 29 points.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert with a good 10 rebounds. I mean, he was doing his thing in there too.
He was doing
his thing.
Rudy, they don't know, but I know.
I forget that was your
Rudy.
teammate.
You did your big one, twin.
Wait, so let me ask you a question, which I haven't prepared you for this. So if you don't answer it, just don't answer it. That's fine. Remember in COVID when he got a lot of shit for like preventing to touch the microphones? Yeah. Were you there?
Yeah.
Was that all bullshit from the media being like...
What do you mean?
Because there was a lot of talk that like his teammates were pissed at him for doing that and like thought it wasn't funny.
touching the
microphones, like a joke. Were people pissed at him? Because it was a weird time back then too.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, any guy's going to do what he's going to do. I don't think we were all pissed off at him. It was
like,
an unfortunate situation, right?
Yeah.
Now, knowing what we know, like, looking back on it, there was no need for anybody to be mad at anybody. Like,
now that
this was inevitable. Like, this was going to happen. He didn't end basketball. He didn't end, like, someone was going to come up testing positive for COVID. It just sucked that it had to be the person that was saying that it was funky.
Well, now that we know that the government administered all to us, that it's all bullshit and that no one should be wearing masks unless you're sheep. Now that we know that it was actually all manufactured in a Chinese laboratory.
We don't know any of we know no facts. So why are you sitting here trying to say all this?
I'm trying to drum up 2020 election vibes again.
We don't talk about politics.
JK, yeah, no, we don't.
On here. This is just fun, loving sports.
Yeah, guys, relax.
With that being said, no more Rudy Gobert slander. He was balling. Doing what Rudy Gobert does. If you guys think that he's getting paid to go out there and give you 30 and 20, that's not what he's doing. He anchors a defense. He makes it tough for people to score at the rim, and he tries to get your team extra possessions with offensive rebounds. That's his job. That's what he's paid to do.
And he's great at that. I would like to
3-time Defensive Player of the Year. No more Rudy Gobert slander. You guys try to shit on him in that Denver series, and what'd he do? He came out on top.
Now, I'd like to ask you a little bit about this Defensive Player of the Year award, because it seems like it always goes to somebody who's getting blocks, because that's the most trackable stat. Yeah, it's a tough stat.
And steals.
But would you agree that there are other people who are just as good at defense, like on the wing or point guards that are really, really good at defense, that are never going to win the award because they don't get the stats? It's kind of like the cornerback who does, like,
I mean,
Daryl
Drew Holiday, Jaden McDaniels.
Alex Caruso was really good.
Alex Caruso is a really good defender. I mean, it's tough because when you're a guard, these are NBA players, and you're put in the action almost all the time.
Yeah.
And stealing the ball and blocking someone's shot from the perimeter, it's a lot harder because there's more space, right?
Yeah.
When you're a big guy, you have more opportunities to block it because the ball is coming towards you. You're at the rim. So
don't you think it's a little unfair that the wings are never...
I mean, Marcus Smart won it.
Yeah, when?
You're just saying bullshit.
I'm not. Look at if we could pull up the list of the last 20.
Marcus Smart, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert.
Big guy.
Rudy Gobert 3 times.
Big guy. The last guard I can think of is Gary Payton.
And they called him the glove.
They called him the glove. He was one of the best of all time. I guess what I'm saying is, do you ever think that they should start considering more guards more often?
I think they are, but like in the sense of that Rudy got it this year, like look, he
deserved it.
Yeah, number one defense, the rankings when he was on the floor, like you have to look more in depth.
It's like team
at the
defense
stats,
too.
Which most fans aren't willing to do. But hey, I still love you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. You're the motivation that keeps freaking this league great.
What about here's Rudy Gobert. Let's see what we got here. These are the last. Okay, so we have
Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard is, I guess, a guard. He's a forward, technically.
Back to back.
The last guard. Oh yeah, these are people. None of them are listed as guards. So the last guard is Gary Payton in 1996. And then Michael Jordan in 88.
Michael Cooper.
So go up. Can you scroll back up? This is Peter, by the way, here at our wonderful studios. I forgot the name.
Big Night Live.
Okay, Marcus Smart won it in 2022. Big Night Live Studios, Big Night Studios. Okay, so there's been like 3 guards in 30 years that have won it. I guess that's my point. I think there are some other guards.
Meta World really Peace was the last one.
Yeah, he's a stud too.
Ron Artest in this
Meta piece. Yeah, I guess a 3 can start as guard. Okay, I do want to ask you one more thing about that series. We talked a little about the Wolves. Let's go to the Mavs side. What do you think the Mavs got to do to close it out? What are some keys that you saw them doing a really effective job at in games 1 through 3? What do you think they got to get back to in game 5?
I think the biggest thing for them is that 2-headed monster that they have with
the purple-headed monster. Did you say
two-headed monster? Kevin.
Weird. So a purple-headed mushroom head or something.
But at the same time, that 2-headed monster is just really dynamic and tough to stop. Like, I think Kyrie has shown his ability to be one of the best basketball players that any of us will ever see in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Say what you want to say about things that he's done in the past. I think that he's done such a good job of just focusing on himself, and being who he is. And I think he's always been comfortable being who he is. And people have always tried to scrutinize him. And he's just in such a great rhythm and great place. Like it's really great to see, because so many people wrote him off and tried to be like, this guy's an idiot, and push him out. And he's done such a good job of climbing and to get to the mountaintop. I personally would love to see him, win a championship so that he can basically tell everybody,
To S&D?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Everybody has reasonings for why they do things. And I know that Kyrie's not a bad person. I know he's not a racist. I know he loves history. But to put him in the light that they did, and I felt like it was almost like kick him while he was down, it hurt a little bit, because I thought to myself, damn, if I was in that position and everybody's turning their back on me, like, how would I feel about that? Yeah. But at the same time, he's picked himself up. He's done a tremendous job this year, done an amazing job leading, Dallas along with Luka. And what I think that would help in this series is obviously getting Derek Lively back. Yeah.
I think they missed him.
Yeah, I think having the ability to have bigs out there that can catch lobs. But the two X factors, which have been tremendous, and I did not see this happening, was PJ Washington and Derek Jones Jr. They're defending their fucking asses off.
Making shots.
And making threes. Like, if that happens, this series is over.
Their role players are much better than I thought they were. And they're like, first off, I don't necessarily like the term role players because everybody's on a roll, right?
No, that's accurate. You have superstars, and then you have guys that need to figure it out and find a role, because you're not going to get a majority of the shots or the love that the rest of the guys are.
But they've stepped up and played great basketball, defending their ass off, and then and knocked down shots. And PJ Washington, another guy that was very, I think he was a lottery pick, if I remember, coming out of Kentucky.
I don't know what he was, but he was kind of
highly touted.
Not fizzling in Charlotte, but he was
just wasn't.
He was just, nobody really talked about him. Now it's a name you have to talk about. He's playing defense and he's making threes, and he's been coming up big.
My take on the Kyrie thing is this.
Here we go. Here's coming from a fan's perspective. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
My take on Kyrie and everybody in the world is that whatever position you're in is your fault, good or bad. So right now, the position he's in is his fault in a good way, meaning he has got himself to this position, and that is on him in a good way. Yeah. Like he found a place. He's clearly worked his ass off and has never stopped working his ass off. Is an incredible basketball player. Seems like a really good person. I also do kind of think his situation in New York, while it was magnified by New York media and all this, a lot of that stuff was...
He almost was forced to pay $500,000.
Look, I'm not
to play basketball.
Correct. I'm not saying that everything that happened to him was fully in his control. Right. What I'm saying is the first person you have to look at when you're in a certain situation is you. And I do think he was responsible for some of the things, some of the backlash he got.
I hear you.
But on the same exact token, you must say that have that same energy when things are going well.
The bounce back is...
Exactly. The bounce back is real. And as a fan of basketball, it's awesome to see Kyrie playing great basketball and just seeming like he's really enjoying his time in Dallas. And I also, right now at this point, I'm rooting for Dallas to pull off a championship.
I think the best part about it, and the last thing about Kyrie, is that, he was willing to lose it all. He stood on business.
Win, lose, or draw, he stood right on business, and you got to respect that if nothing else. Okay, I want to get your take on something that's talked about a lot, and that is the son of maybe the greatest basketball player of all time, Bronny James, sticking in the NBA draft. Yeah. He's going to go for it. He's going to get drafted. I don't know if you've seen a lot of tape of him, or do you have any takes basketball-wise? Aside from all the intangibles, seems like a great kid. What did you see basketball-wise that you think he's got working?
Yeah, I think that he's going to be able to come into the NBA and figure out a role and a niche. His mentor, his dad, is obviously one of the greatest to ever play the game. So there are going to be little tricks of the trade that he is going to learn along the way. I think, like anything, he just needs an opportunity. And I think, with his play and how he's done in draft workouts, I think he's kind of shown from what they say, I have not been in these workouts. I have not seen film or anything like that, that he's shown that he is capable of being in the conversation of being a draft pick.
Yeah.
With that being said, I don't know where he's going to go in the draft. I don't know if it'll be a roster spot or a two-way. You know, I really have no idea. But at the same time, he is an athlete.
Stud athlete.
He's shown that he can shoot the ball a little bit. I mean, I know college is one thing, but, you know, Zach LaVine averaged I don't know how many points at UCLA, and he's a stud in the NBA. Not comparing those two at all.
Yeah.
Or not Russell Westbrook either. But just because your game in college doesn't really wow people doesn't mean that you're not going to fit in the NBA, because it's gone vice versa. There's been studs in the NBA or in the NCAA in college that haven't panned out in the NBA. So I think he's going to have a great career, and he's going to figure it out. I
mean, even people like you and Draymond were the leading scorers of are all-time greats at your very big basketball schools, like the top level of Division I basketball. Yeah. And you guys have both found different roles in the NBA and been very successful at them. You're coming up on your 9th year in the NBA. Draymond's one of the best role players of all time.
And has made $177 million.
God damn.
Someone told me he has over $2 million in fines too.
No way, is that true? What would you do?
That fucking.
Do you know how much you're up in fines?
That fucking sucks.
Because you got a couple this year.
No, I didn't get any.
No. All right. Okay, I want to ask you really quick about this. There's a lot of rumors that Jimmy Butler may be moving on from Miami. Any takes on that? I mean, is it true? Do you think to me, he's not a free agent. I don't know what's going on there, why people are talking about it. Where do these rumors come up? What's your take on it? Do you ever want to play in Miami? It seems like you get distracted in a place like Miami.
Wow, it's your own people that do it to you.
I would get distracted. I went to Miami once. I went to a pool party at SLS. I was there, and I was 35, out of shape, balding, married, and said, I don't belong here.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a dangerous place if you don't have your priorities in check. I think with any team, you kind of try and maneuver and see where you can figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do I think Jimmy Butler is going to be in Miami? I think it's a 50-50 shot if he is or he isn't.
Oh, really?
Right? I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, you're caught in like a rock and a hard place, right? You know, they were an 8 seed. They kind of, underachieved, I guess, after you made it to the finals. They got rid of some guys in free agency, brought in some other pieces. This year, they were injury ridden for a long time and kept it rolling. But, they lost in the first round. And I feel like I have a good feeling that Pat Riley does not enjoy losing. He's been known to be a winner and has won his whole career
everywhere,
playing, coaching, being in the front office. So I'd say it's 50-50. It could go where they keep him and try and figure something out, or they move on and get a haul for him and kind of thank him for what he's done and keep it moving.
I would not be I would not want to be the person making that decision. Although you did spark something that I really wanted to get to at the top of the show, and you got selfish and you took over the show.
Sometimes I have to do that to hinder you from talking about.
But this is something we're both going to want to talk about. And Pat Riley, your mention of Pat Riley sparked it for me. And that is another old timer. We must mention a legend in the game, an absolute stud. RIP to the one and only Bill Walton. I want to give you some things people don't know about Bill Walton, especially younger people, because they don't realize, they think he's more of just a TV guy and a big personality and he's funny on TV. He was a 3-time National Player of the Year in college at UCLA, played for the greatest coach of all time, some people think, John Wooden. 2-time NCAA champion, and during those 2 years had an 88-game win streak. An 88-game win streak, which is crazy to think of. 1974, first overall pick. 1977, finals MVP in Portland. 1978.
Brought the only championship to the Trailblazers.
Portland, 1977. 78 wins MVP, another good year. Then he battled some foot injuries, and he kind of like flew under the radar. He went to the Clippers and didn't really do much. People thought maybe the foot injuries got the best of him. He was done.
Yeah.
Comes to Boston in 1980. 186 is the 6th man of the year and wins another NBA championship, backing up Robert Parrish, I believe, whoever the center was there. I don't think it was Kevin McHale. I think it was Robert Parrish. And also won an Emmy Award despite overcoming a stutter that he had as a child. He had a stutter and overcame that. Talk about a guy who has done it all.
Yeah.
Bill Walton.
Pac-12, Conference of Champions. Yeah. You know, I didn't get to ever see him play.
Did you ever meet him or anything?
Yes, I've gotten to. And, you know, obviously his son, Luke Walton, coached me in Cleveland. And it's sad because, you know, whenever you lose someone that has done so much to grow the game of basketball, not only on the court, but on the sidelines, you know, as a color commentator, it's really sad. But I think one thing that we all can learn from Bill Walton is he was always his true self, whether he was wearing a bandana around his head or
talking about the dead.
Yeah, if he was talking about Grateful Dead or his experiences or his energy or making someone laugh, he was truly himself. And I think that's something that everybody should take and use in their life, is that it doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, continue to be you. And I am definitely going to miss hearing his voice on, you know, broadcasts. But I think, you know, what he's done and his legacy that he's left will live on forever.
For sure. I always think of Bill Walton. I growing up, obviously I was young, I'm too young to have heard him play or watched him play. And so I grew up with him on like NBC basketball on NBC, NBA on NBC.
Which is coming back.
And I loved Bill Walton because
hi, this is Greg Gumbel.
Yeah, I love Bill Walton because he was funny. No one else was funny ever. Like, it was always so serious, and I thought he was really good at being funny. But what I really learned about him was when I read John Wooden's book, and he talked about how good Bill Walton was. I never realized how good he really was. He's probably the best college basketball player of all time. A lot of people don't
Lou
know
Alcindor?
Maybe Lou Alcindor. Anyway, speaking of LA, that was a transition from UCLA to now the LA Clippers. Ty Lue has signed a new deal through the 28-29 season, reportedly $14 million a year.
Yeah, coaches.
He getting that bread.
People don't understand. Monty Williams started this off. Coaches are going to be getting paid, which I don't, you know, coaching in the NBA is not easy.
For the faint of heart.
Right? You have to find a way to, you know, I don't want to say manipulate, but kind of make things work. Make things work in a way where your team feels like they are aligned with what your goals are.
Yeah.
Which is never easy, because you walk in and, you know, these guys have, you know, a lot of internal motivation to be the best them they can be, but being the best, you know, them may be in a different role than what they see. And for you to be able to speak that to them and through the ups and downs and not have them, you know, be bugged out by, you know, you telling them that I think you'd be better at this and them feeling like, no, but I'm really good at this.
Right.
Is not an easy job.
Yeah.
But congrats to T. Lue, because he's had to deal with the injuries, the whole time he's been with the Clippers, and I'm sure that's not easy, but yet he keeps showing up, winning games, and he deserves that. He's been pretty impressive.
It does seem like you're fighting in the NBA sometimes, like you say, managing personalities, and also we should mention a lot of times these players, their self-interest aren't always aligned with the team's best interests, just naturally, because sometimes people are trying to get paid, and sometimes people are trying to get what are you looking at, dude?
Nothing.
Sometimes people are trying to get paid, and sometimes people having to take a step back in their statistics or numbers help the team, and not always people are.
Yeah, that's not the easiest, convincing someone that's making X amount of dollars that's the best for the team.
Okay, I do want to talk a little bit about a little college thing. Alex Caravan from UConn.
Priority Sports, Alex Caravan.
Stud.
Can't wait to have you in the NBA, but if you're going to go back and win 3 national championships, my God, can they build a statue of him outside of Gampo Pavilion in Storrs, Connecticut, because that is going to be dangerous. And I didn't, you know what? I need to give you credit because you were over here saying that, is it Danny
Hurley?
Danny Hurley runs really good stuff.
You shit every time I talk about basketball. You shit on it,
and I did. And you know what? As I watched them in the NCAA tournament, because I don't get to watch it, Coach Danny Hurley, I owe you an apology because I was like, it's
no, you owe me an apology.
And Danny Hurley, Dan Hurley, sorry, but you run some fucking unbelievable sets. The one where the guy throws it across to the big in the paint, and then it's a handoff. Like your misdirections, it's fucking impressive, and I think it's great for the game, great for the college basketball game. That is just this movement with purpose. It's not just like distraction. It's movement with purpose, and you deserve a lot of credit because you came into a job where UConn was kind of dragging its feet from where it was, and you've brought it to the powerhouse that it once was.
Mid-major. They went from being a Big East school to the American Conference, or whatever the fuck it was. They were a mid-major by all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
And now they are back to prominence.
Yeah.
And so I just want to rehash what happened here. George apologized to me because my basketball acumen.
You have terrible basketball IQ.
No.
Yes, you do.
I have incredible
you were
basketball
right one
IQ.
time.
I am always right about basketball. And just so everyone out there notices, an NBA player just commented on how smart I am about basketball. Okay? I'm a very smart guy about basketball. I coach varsity basketball. Okay? And now he apologized to me for not believing that was true. Thank you for that.
Moving on, though, to the real topic that has been brought up, and since the WNBA season has started, Caitlin Clark owns landscape in everybody's head. Like everywhere you look, it's like she's not this, she's not that, she has 30 points, this, that, and the other. And it's just
Dropped
like
30 last
everybody wants to talk about her and throw shade. And I understand, Becky Hammon came out and said, like, nobody's,
I didn't see
we love her, like da. I get that, but everybody is talking about her. Like everybody is talking about her. She's done so much. She's already done so much for the game, and people are saying like, she's not doing this, she's not doing that. There's a learning curve when you come into the WNBA,
but it's not as big as everyone thought it was going to be. It's not. She just dropped 30. She's an effective player, right?
No, absolutely. But she's a point guard coming into a whole new system with whole new players. And let's not get it twisted. The Indiana Fever is a young team.
Very young.
Right? Like they have when I was there, I think Tamika Catchings was there, and it was like they're a young team, and that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When they were like relevant and like winning.
Yeah.
This rebuild is going to take time. I would say in 3 years. And plus, when you're in the WNBA, like a lot of people are trying to go to destinations where, it's like in a city or by a body of water, which is tough to get. It's not like you can just go crazy and pay people in the WNBA.
Like in the NBA, small markets have a tough enough time. In the WNBA, they're going to have even tougher of a time.
And the fact they got her, Aaliyah Boston, it's only going to go up from here.
Yes.
And she's been killing. But know who else has been killing? And I haven't given her flowers. Angel Reese. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Very good basketball.
You're defending, you're rebounding. I didn't know you had that type of exterior out on the perimeter game. You are fucking killing.
I like Angel Reese.
What do they call her? They call her the Baton Rouge Queen, or what they?
I don't know.
No, it's like the shot. I don't know what they call you, but you keep going.
I think both of those people probably have unfair treatment from the media. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And whatever, I'm going to sound like an idiot, the goddamn media, but they got to get clicks on things.
Information from.
They got to get clicks on things, and so they're going every single tweet that's about Angel, about Caitlin Clark. They're going to retweet and blow it up. It's a story. Look what Angel Reese tweeted about Caitlin Clark, and it's like, also just let them compete and let them talk shit. They're going to talk shit to each other. But one thing WNBA players do have to admit is that all these Sue Bird and all these people are like, she's going to be playing against grown women. She's not going to be able to do that. She's doing that. She's doing that to you as a 22-year-old, and she's going to continue to do that to you.
Yeah, she's only going to get better.
Before we get to one final thing that I think is really important, I do want to mention the MLB today, just made official, that they're including all of the Negro League stats in their official books, which is awesome to see. And it's good to see Josh Gibson is now officially the MLB's all-time highest batting average at 372, which is higher than Ty Cobb, which I think was 367 or something like that.
And slugging percentage too?
Slugging percentage is the highest as well.
What does slugging percentage mean?
Slugging percentage, if I'm correct.
What's the baseball movie that
first off, baseball stopped being cool in the 90s, so no one fucking knows.
No, baseball is fucking cool.
Going to a baseball game, fucking cool.
Baseball fucking cool.
Game, baseball in general.
Playoff baseball is really fucking cool.
Yeah, playoff baseball is.
But what was the name of that baseball movie that...
the one up in Cleveland?
No.
Oh, because that's a great one.
The one fucking in Oakland with the A's.
Oh, Moneyball.
Moneyball.
Yeah, Moneyball. Yeah. Moneyball's a good one. Shout out Brad Pitt. Good looking fella. Anyway, it's cool to see. Now, there's going to be a lot of arguments from people that are going to think this is a political thing, not against us. And they're going to say the woke media, the Negro Leagues weren't nearly as good as the American League and National League back in the day. And what you should do if you're one of those people is go back and look at the data. I heard this on Greeny this morning. There's over 500 games of recorded exhibition games with records on them between the Negro Leagues and American and National League. And in those games, the Negro Leagues are 33 games over 500 against those two National and American Leagues.
Wow.
Furthermore,
so the Negro Leagues were balling out.
Furthermore, when they integrated the leagues, 11 out of the next 13 MVPs were African American men. So it's kind of hard to have an argument that these Negro Leagues weren't
about damn time these records were put in the record books.
I almost just made a joke about how bad white people are at sports, but I won't say that right now. I did get cooked at a Memorial Day cookout this weekend. Me and Gabe Knutson, we got ran off the court in this. It
was bad, huh?
It was bad. It was really, really bad. We FaceTimed you. You said hi. He got jazzed up and was excited that you knew who he was, and then he just was fucking horrible. And if he's not good...
Yeah, you're trash.
Okay. Josh Hart today tweeted, I have a discussion with our friends over at Sidious Mag, who are very, very big. Sidious Mag are a very big track and field coverage media company.
Okay.
And my good friend Chris Chavez is the CEO, founder. And there was a tweet that he showed that said, Josh Hart believes he could run a 5:45 mile. 5:45 mile, which I don't know what the splits on those are for 4 times around the track. But I want to get your take. If I think there's somebody over 6'4" that could run a 5:45 mile,
it's fucking Josh.
It's probably Josh Hart.
I mean, are we talking about the same fucking person? Of course he can run it in 5:45. Josh Hart, are you the same guy that played 48 minutes back to back to back to back to back?
He's played 100 minutes.
Yeah, like you ran fucking 9,000 miles this season. Of course, I think you can run a mile in 5:45. Honestly, I don't even think that it's because like he's just purely like more skilled. I think it's just a mind over matter, like pure determination. Like they said, like, are you tired? He's like, nah. Like tired is like working a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
like,
tired's a luxury or something like that.
I mean,
He's scared.
He's built like it. I mean, he could probably get away with wearing one of them, track outfits if he wants to be more aerodynamic because he's going to be cutting it close. Yeah. I'm not saying that you'll blow it out the water, Jay Hart, but...
All right, here's what we can do. We got to get a shoe company. Okay, by the way, we have inside information. A different one. Don't mention that one. We have inside information that a shoe company is willing to sponsor it. Is willing to sponsor this, and any proceeds will go to charity. So if you want to give this a shot, Josh Hart, you do it. I'll take your time plus 2:30, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I'll beat that. So you give me plus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'll be able to run a 7. What is that? That's an 8:15 mile. I'll easily be able to run that.
No, that would be an 8.
I'll be able to run.
No, that'd be an 8-minute mile.
Yeah,
oh, no, 8:15. Yeah, 8:15. You're right. I could do it under 8.
I bet you could do it under 8. But and so now we were having a discussion. My friend at Sidious Mag, who's an average an avid track runner also. And my friend Ryan is a big track runner and like just running in general.
Okay. What were you going to say?
The perfect body out of NBA players is point guards because you guys over a mile,
lot of weight.
You got a lot of weight, and those legs start getting tired.
I'd put Steph Curry.
I'd put Mike Conley up there.
Yeah, well, his dad,
his dad was a track star, right?
Yeah, come on.
So Mike Conley, I would say, is probably the fastest mile, although he's getting a little bit up there.
I'm not going to lie either. I'd put Anthony Edwards in there.
Because he's a maniac.
Yeah, he's just
he won't lose to anybody.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yes, definitely De'Aaron Fox. And you could say Malik Monk too, because he's smaller and probably runs.
I'd only because this is my biased perspective, I'd put Max Strus in there.
You would?
Yeah. Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, but Duncan's big. He's like 6'8".
Yeah,
right?
but he's like light on his feet, like very light, tall, lanky. Those are the type of people. Yeah, those are the type of people that you want.
You want someone that's like 6'1", that is lengthy and is lengthy.
That was
we
crazy. So where we're at,
where we're at,
Big Night Live studio. There, you can look out and
Peter, we got to get a camera on here.
There was literally just girls out here
giving George the stank eye.
Twerking.
Damn. Okay. So Mike Conley, so you think your time would be sub 8? You think you could run a sub 8 mile?
Sub 8.
Okay.
I think a lot of NBA players could run a sub 5:45. Should we do like an Austin Rivers thing here and do like a percentage of the NBA?
What percentage of the NBA could run a sub 6?
Yeah. There's 450.
Who can you beat in the NBA? Name some players that you could beat in the NBA. Centers, Boban, you could beat.
Yeah. All the centers.
Every single center.
No, but like the big slow ones.
Okay. So
no disrespect, guys.
You won't say anyone's name. Anybody on your team that you could beat in the mile? Because Jared Allen and Evan Mobley could move.
Yeah, they can go. Tristan can move too.
Do you think you would be the last on your team in a mile?
No, because mind over matter, I'm not.
So who are you beating? Put it on record. Stand on business.
I'm beating everybody. That's how I really feel.
Cop out.
How is that a cop out?
Because there's a couple.
Okay, I wouldn't beat DG. I wouldn't beat Donovan. I wouldn't beat Max. Isaac, no way. Karras, no.
Sam Merrill.
I'll beat Sam. No offense.
Oh, Sam, we need your take on this.
Yeah, I'll beat all the bigs. I'll beat all the bigs. They're too big.
I want to ask you one more question before we go. If someone were to tell you, would give you an over-under for a beer mile. You know what a beer mile is?
What is that? Drink a beer?
Okay, you're on a track. They're 400 meters.
This is what fucking content creators do. Beer mile.
Just listen. You chug a beer before you run a lap. Once you finish the lap, you chug another beer. So you do that 4 times. So before you
does the time while you're drinking a beer, does that
running
get... Oh.
So the time of you drinking the beer counts in the mile. How fast do you think I could drink 4 beers and run 4 laps? How fast altogether?
Sub 10.
You think I could go sub 10?
Yeah.
You think I could go sub 9?
No.
Do you think I could go sub 8?
I just said no to sub 9.
Would you put money on either of these? Is just hypothetical.
Okay.
I'm not going to bet you because I already know what my time is.
Sub 8, I would bet money that you couldn't do it. Sub 9...
Okay. So the long story short is all my friends were the same thing as you said. I couldn't even do sub 10.
Okay. What'd you do?
I bet them crazy amounts of money. I mean, thousands of dollars, which I never got paid on. I ran a 7:56 beer mile.
Oh, unofficial time. So it doesn't
I'll run a
count.
sub 8 tomorrow. I'll do it. Okay. Did we miss anything? I think we got everything.
We didn't miss anything. There were, we'll say this quickly. There was some big news over there in Kansas City where dogs were left.
Isaiah Gibbs is his name.
Where dogs were left out. Isaiah Bugs. But,
yeah, we had this story. Isaiah Bugs left dogs out on a house that was owned by him. It may not have been him. There was no access to
which
food or
sucks
water.
because when it's owned by you, there couldn't have been an agreement where someone was supposed to be taking care of the dogs and left it out there. And I don't want people to just go out and say that it's Isaiah Bugs, and I want to think that it's not.
I will though,
because. When you get to this aspect, there are a lot of people that are in your life that, you give responsibility to, and you hope that, with the trust that you put in them, that they will follow through. So I want to believe that, he wouldn't do something like this And hopefully, it's terrible that this happened to the dogs, but, hopefully this has nothing to do with him. I know it was his house, but in so many instances, the media will make sure that if you're the big name, your name is going to be on it, and it could have had nothing to do with you. You could have told somebody to watch them and they fell asleep or left town. So, that's something that happened. But I also want to tell people that athletes' names get tossed onto a lot of things. So don't ultimately shoot down Isaiah Buggs. I don't know him personally, but this may not have anything to do with him. In actuality,
we're assuming best intent, which is fine. I will say animal cruelty, like dog cruelty specifically.
Yeah, there's no room for
it. Okay. Back next week, possibly with a guest.
Yes,
we won't give any information, but we're thinking we could possibly have a big guest. If not, it'll just be you and I. Did you put lotion on your elbow?
Yes, sir. Well, that's all we have, folks. This is the Ben Sheep Podcast. I'm George Niang. This is Kevin Spees. Until next time.
Tune in next week.